Hi everybody, Heather Mason 76 here. I decided to do this video because I decided tonight that I was going to start playing the Silent Hill HD collection. Now, I was actually sort of excited to play this, although I already knew I was not going to be happy with Silent Hill 3, but okay. I knew I was going to be disappointed, but I didn't think I was going to feel like I had a nerd rage. And I really feel like I need to, but I'm not gonna raise my voice and go freaking crazy like I have a few times. Mind you, going crazy is probably very mildly, because I don't try to get too angry on these things, but I don't understand, Konami, why you want to do an HD version of Silent Hill 2 and 3 and then change all the voices when the voice acting was already fine the way it was. Let alone replace a few key people's voices that are not on this earth anymore, just to frustrate people, including myself. Okay. I have a few issues with Silent Hill 3 in general, just with the start of it. Okay, when you start with playing, right, like when I first loaded the disc, there is a patch or something that I had to download. I don't know why this is. I only have a few guesses why. It's either A, because they had to replace, because of course in Silent Hill 2 they have the original and the the new voices. So they probably put something in the download where you could actually play the old voices. Because I don't think that was an original option. I think, I'm not entirely sure. But yeah. Or B, this is the second video I've yawned in. There were bugs or errors or whatever, and they had to patch something. Which is, okay, if that's the case, I need to say to you, Konami, fix your shit before you release it. Don't pull a Capcom. Don't pull a Bethesda. Don't pull like all these other companies. You've pissed me off already with this as it is, but you don't need to do that. Okay, and here's the main issue that I have with Silent Hill 3. Not only the voice acting, but, okay, when you start in the Nightmare World with Heather being in, the Nightmare World or whatever, and she's running through, the HD, the high definition, it looks really good, mind you. When it started loading and I saw everything, I was like, oh, it's so pretty, it looks so good. Mind you, a Nightmare World not supposed to look pretty, but, you get my drift. So I'm like, okay, this looks awesome. This is going to be great. Not even 10 seconds in that I'm running, there's pauses and frame rate drops. And I'm like, what is going on? One plus, though, is I always hated the sound of those like double guys that have like the spikes coming out that fly, that basically are going through the air. They apparently toned down their sounds. I also noticed that in the opening, like right before the beginning of the You're Not Here song or whatever, you know how Valtiel's like on that wall or whatever, and then it cuts to the song? Well, in the original, they had the, like that weird chanting sound that, it sounds really stupid coming from me, but you know what I mean. It has that echoing kind of sound. And they completely took that out. It just sounds like some sort of static-y kind of pitch now. And I don't know why they did that. I'm only guessing because maybe it was one of the voice actors originally that did it. just a guess. I'm not sure. But yeah, frame rate drops and pauses, like, straight up just pauses of the game. Like, everything stops for, like, a second or two for everything else to load in front of you. It's just like, what are you doing? Like, why are you doing this? So yeah, the other main issue that I have, like I said, is the voice acting. Heather is okay. The person that replaced her voice is meh. But the major issue I have with it is, okay, for Silent Hill 2, Guy Seehee said that, who's the guy that did the original voice for James, he was mad with Konami because apparently they hadn't paid anybody the royalties. They're very lax at paying everybody the royalties. Like, for instance, like, they released Silent Hill 2 for the Xbox and the PC, and apparently they only got the royalties for the PlayStation 2, and only for the original edition, not for the Greatest Hits collection, or whatever. I think. I'm pretty sure it's what it came down to. But anyway, they still didn't get the royalties for the PC version or the Xbox version for WrestleStreams. Silent Hill 3 was only released on the PS2. But I don't think they ever got all of the royalties after it hit platinum and, you know, silver, platinum, whatever. So they never really got all the royalties. But Guy Seehee apparently said that the thing that he was frustrated about was, he said it's actually kind of illegal to use their voices without permission, but at the same time, those voice actors were being used for their mocaps, and it was the same thing for Silent Hill 3, like, especially for Heather. The girl that did the voice for her originally, her name's actually Heather Morris, which is why her name became Heather in the game in the first place. She was named as Heather because of the voice actor that did her voice, and her mocap is there. All of her movements is all mocap from that voice actor. Now, I don't know if they paid her the royalties for the mocap and maybe just didn't pay her the royalties for the voice or what, but it's just kind of weird that Guy Seehee from the second game had said that, oh, okay, they paid me the royalties for that, but they're not paying me the royalties for this and that, and for the HD collection, my mocap and everything's in it, da-da-da-da. Now, I don't know if they, I don't know about all the whole talk about certain games, so I'm not really sure. But that's the only thing I'm kind of, like, trying to figure out what exactly happened there. If they allowed, if maybe they paid her the royalties for the mocap and, the name or whatever, and didn't... Excuse me. It's just been a long day at work. Anyway, so... yeah, and, so the voice acting, I've only gotten to... Someone's calling me, and I don't know who it is. It's my ride tomorrow morning. Okay. Anyway. Okay, so, I have only heard Heather's voice and Douglas's voice. And I literally turned it off after hearing Douglas's voice. Because the guy originally that did the voice for Douglas died a couple years ago. Maybe even more than just a couple years ago. So, of course, they weren't going to be able to have him come back in and, of course, redo the voice. Do their voice again, right? But instead of keeping the original, of course, they replaced all the voices, which really sucks because his voice is now forever lost. And unless you have the original, which is what I have, because you should have the originals anyway, just because of the fact that the voices for those are different than the others. It's better sometimes to have the older ones than the remakes because of that reason. Because sometimes the voice acting is completely different. Which is another thing I have to get into about Silent Hill 2 for sure. Anyway, so Heather's voice is meh. It's tolerable, but you can, it's still not the same woman that does her voice. It's still not the same girl that does her voice. The guy that does the voice of Douglas was the reason why I shut off the game, literally. Because the part where he confronts her for the first time, because he's originally hired by Claudia Wolf to find her, because Claudia basically tells Douglas, Heather was a part of our, you know, of our town, of our family. She was kidnapped. You know, we're trying to find her. You know, stuff like that. And Douglas is basically hired to find Heather and to bring her back, you know, into their family, you know, to them or whatever, you know. So, okay. Douglas starts talking to her in the mall. And, you know, he goes, it's just about, you know, it's about your birth. You know, someone wants to find you. Da 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 da. The second he opened his mouth, I got pissed off. First off, Douglas is an older gentleman, preferably up in his at least 50s to 60s, possibly. He has graying hair. He wears a big trench coat. You can tell he's like one of those types. You know what I mean? Like the private detective types. And you kind of know, like, with his, you know, how his voice would go. Which is exactly how Douglas's voice was done originally by the original voice actor. It sounded perfect for somebody with that kind of characteristic. To be, you know, a private detective that had gone through, you know, what he did in his past. That you know, that stopped being a real cop because he decided to be a detective to find people because it was better than, you know, doing whatever, I guess, that he did before. As a cop, I'm guessing. Not exactly sure for all the backstory, but I just don't need everybody commenting, nerding out, going, oh, well, he was da 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 da. Okay, whatever. You know what I mean. Anyway, the sound that his voice sounded the way it was supposed to by the guy that originally did his voice before, okay, for the PlayStation 2 version that came out originally. The remake makes him sound about 20 to 30 years younger. And it completely does not match his personality at all. I do not like it at all. It really pisses me off. So I literally turned off the game and said, fuck you, Konami. And I had to let that stew for a little bit before I decided to load in Silent Hill 2. And I was being nice. I was being a little optimistic. And I know how the original voice work is, so I'm perfectly fine with that. So I decided, okay, fine. I'm going to try Silent Hill 2 on the new voices just to see how they go. And I have to honestly say, I'm on the fence. Because James's voice pisses me off. But Angela's voice sounds okay. But you know what I mean? Like, I only played it up to the part where he literally goes to the cemetery and talks to Angela. Okay? And he's like, is this the way to Silent Hill? You know, da-da-da-da-da. Okay. Angela's voice is tolerable. But her voice doesn't have that kind of tone to it. If you've ever heard her voice originally, you'll know what I mean. Angela's in this one has a higher pitch. And I don't know if it's just because of how it is or what. But it seems like each of the voice actors that do the new voices, the new voiceovers for this game, for Silent Hill 2, they're doing an okay job with saying the lines, but they're executing it a different way to almost give you a different form of context of what they're saying. You know what I mean? Like, certain things that, like, Eddie says through the game, like, about killing a guy ain't so bad, just put a gun to their head, pow. Like, how the guy that said it originally that did Eddie, it sounded like he was losing his fucking mind. Like, you could tell he was losing it. Like, in this one, it just, I don't know, like, it sounded like it was completely executed differently, and I was kind of, like, really on the fence about it. But James's voice really pisses me off. I don't know if it's, like, it just makes me want to punch puppies, and I don't want to do that. I have no words for it, really. Like, his voice is, like, seriously, like, deep, 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 and it's just, like, whoa, like, why is his voice that deep? Like, it's, like, super, super, super deep. Like, okay, if you ever watch any of the HD remake, like, Let's Plays or whatever that somebody does, please, watch the opening, just to hear his voice. That'll be enough for you to be like, what in the hell? Like, what happened? So, okay, the only thing that I don't mind, and it's just because of me being a Silent Hill fangirl, Mary Elizabeth McGlynn, I can tell, does the voice of Mary / Maria in the remake, which I don't have a problem with. And from what I heard, Mary Elizabeth McGlenn apparently was one of the people that helped with the voice work, you know, as one of the directors or whatever. Mind you, she did the voice... Okay, Mary Elizabeth McGlenn has a lot of really good background stuff that she's really worked on. So, this is probably the only reason why it at least sounds a bit decent. It just sounds like it's executed differently. She actually directed the original... She directed the English dub of Cowboy Bebop. And a lot of people say that Cowboy Bebop's one of the best, which I agree with, is one of the best English dubs that there really has ever been. Like, that's the only one that's actually really, really good. There are a lot of other animes that are like that, you know, that are really well dubbed, but Cowboy Bebop still really stands out as one of the better, you know what I mean, like English dubs. And she actually did that, you know? She did really good. She's also done a lot of music, like with Silent Hill and, you know, all these other, you know, games, you know. She has a lot of background. She did Afro Samurai, she did, you know, she did, like, English dub for Afro Samurai, she did, like, all these other animes that she works with. She also does the voice of, the main person in Ghost in the Shell. So, it's not like she doesn't do voice work. She does voice work all the time. It's just... I just really have no words about it. Like, I love her work, I really do. And it's why I'm really kind of trying to give Silent Hill 2 a chance, because I don't know if she worked with them for Silent Hill 3, but I know she did for Silent Hill 2 for sure. So I don't know what to really expect. Like I said, I only got to the Angela scene, but that was enough for me to be like, what the hell? Because, like I said, mind you, there wasn't that much pausing and stopping and frame rate loss like there was in Silent Hill 3 in the nightmare part. But then again, I hadn't gone that really far into the game. But that's really bad, seeing that Silent Hill 3, especially the HD collection, that it pauses and has frame rate issues right at the very start of the game. Like, that's really bad. Like, you shouldn't have that kind of issue. Like, period. If you're doing an HD overhaul on a game, there's no reason, none whatsoever, to have it where when you're running down a bare track, when all you see is basically darkness in front of you, and you hear like maybe like a few little like cries from like a weird little something in the background. It shouldn't be pausing on the railroad tracks when like it's all dark around you and you can barely see anything around you at all. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. Okay, so like I said, I'm kind of on the fence about Silent Hill 2 because I like Mary Elizabeth McGlenn's voice work with her other, you know, jobs, you know, that she's done in the past, along with her musical, you know, talent for the Silent Hill soundtracks. But it's one of those things where I'm like still a little on the fence about her directing this voice work because it sounds like it's been executed a little bit differently than the original, which I understand why she's probably done it, because of course everybody that reads this kind of stuff, like for instance when you read a book, sometimes you read, you know, things a little bit differently than other people will read them, like what they're saying, and sometimes you take it completely out of context a different way than another one does. So it's just like one of those things where I just don't know if maybe she had a different mindset of like how they were supposed to execute it or what, but it sounds like that's what happened to me. So, the only thing that I can really think about with this HD collection is if you can get it for a really low price, then I would suggest maybe getting it. But only if you can get it for a lower price. Like, okay, I personally got it literally for $10. Reason being is I had a crap ton of Best Buy gift cards that I hadn't used, and I figured, what the hell, if I'm going to save like $30 on this and only spend $10, and that includes with the shipping, so I'm pretty sure I saved a lot more than even just that, I'm fine with that. So I literally only spent $10 of my money. So even if Silent Hill 2 is even meh, I don't feel like I've really wasted that much, you know, that much money. As opposed to if I would have spent my money on, I don't know, a game that really, like, makes me want to rage quit, like Silent Hill Homecoming, which, mind you, I think I spent, like, $15 for, and I still felt like I was gypped, because, you know, we're all suckers for the new ones, hoping that they're going to go back to the originals. And this is what the Silent Hill HD collection was supposed to do. It was supposed to take us back to the originals, to have us really go back and be like, this is what Silent Hill was about. This is what Silent Hill should be. This is awesome. Instead, you have voice characters that are, you know, voice actors that execute the lines differently, where you take things out of different contexts, pausing and freezing and lag of frame rates, you know, in Silent Hill 3, right at the start, which really worries me about the rest of the game. You know, and just, you know, all this little stuff here and there. I mean, mind you, I've only gotten to barely the start of the game, and I'm already having these complaints. But it's just because of the fact that I am such a huge Silent Hill fan that it's really disheartening to see that they replaced Douglas's voice and they did all this other stuff. It's just like, really, guys? Like, I'm a huge fan of Silent Hill. I really, really am. I love those games. The stories that they had were one of the best. Like, Silent Hill 1, Silent Hill 2, and Silent Hill 3. My boyfriend will disagree with me about Silent Hill 3 because he hated Silent Hill 3. He calls it a fan fiction game. Believe that all you want. I'm not going to, but believe that all you want. I liked all 3 games because they all had a very good story to all of them. Mind you, Silent Hill 4 was meh, but then again, Silent Hill 4 wasn't supposed to be a Silent Hill game, so that does not count as far as I'm concerned. So there. Anyway, as I said, Silent Hill 1, 2, and 3 had really good stories. Very intricate stories that had to do with religion and a town that had a lot more history to it than what was just going on in that present time. There's a lot more shit that went down in that town. And if you, like, find files and stuff, like, it explains, like, there's, like, cult stuff and stuff that happened with, like, the Native Americans when they got there, and there's, like, a ship that sank, and all these people got killed. It was just crazy. Like, they have all this really crazy, intricate history that happened with the town. You're just like, what the fuck is up with this place? Like, it's crazy. But it's not just that. It has to do with the cult, the whole witch thing, and everything else. And it's crazy thinking that that town, you know, that they built on so much history with not only the town, but the cult and everything else with the story. So, like, it covers not only, like, religion and cult issues and you know, like a scary story and, you know, all these different kind of, you know, things all going together and actually making a really good game. But you want to make an HD version of it that's great, but you're not doing it right. It's just one of those things where I'm just really like, oh, why? Just why? It's like the Resident Evils. Like, the original Resident Evils were really good. Mind you, they were cheesy as shit, but who cares? They were good. They counted as B-movie games anyway, you know? But, yeah, it's just really disheartening for this. So, right now, like I say, as it stands, especially with just the small amount of gameplay that I have, and I've already nerve raged, but I still am going to say, if you can buy this for, like, between 10 and 15 bucks, I'd say maybe pick it up. But anything more than that, and you're going to feel like you're probably going to be ripped off. Now, mind you, if you've never played these games and you do not have a PlayStation 2, I would suggest possibly purchasing a PlayStation 2 and maybe buying the original ones, because you're still going to pay about that much, probably for a used PlayStation 2, because how cheap they are probably at GameStop and stuff now. I'm trying to think how cheap they are. They're probably like $30 used, or maybe $25 used at this point. If you buy a used PlayStation 2 and buy Silent Hill 3, I'm pretty sure you're going to have the same thoughts about how great the game was, or Silent Hill 2. You're going to have a better feeling about the game than picking up this HD collection and actually playing it. Now, mind you, that's only coming from me that was a fan of the originals, but I'm still saying it's probably better for your money, at least to stay away from the frame rate issues and stuff. But if you really want to have the HD, you know, pretty ooh-ah stuff, then maybe you should pick it up. But that's really, you know, all around the board about who would really want to get it and who wouldn't. But like I said, me, personally, I still like the originals a little bit more. But that's just me. So, like I said, if you have like 10 to 15 bucks, I'd say maybe pick it up. If you're a first-time Silent Hill player, I would say maybe play the original first, just to get the feel of Silent Hill. And they have the original available on the PlayStation Network. Don't buy Shattered Memories, because it has nothing to do with the original story, and you're not going to understand a goddamn thing about the third game at all if you're going to play Shattered Memories and think of that as Silent Hill 1, because that does not count as Silent Hill 1 as far as I'm concerned. Ice World does not count as a Nightmare World that Alessa originally made, okay? Period. So, anyway, as I said, get the HD collection if you have 10 to 15 bucks. If it's anything more than that, I would say wait until it drops, or wait until you can find a used copy for way cheaper, or wait till it goes on sale. Other than that, if you're a first-time Silent Hill player, like I said, find the original on the PlayStation Network, download that, and play it first to see if you really enjoy the game. If not, then don't buy the second and third one. But if you do enjoy the first Silent Hill game, even though it is a little dated, I would say possibly pick them up. If you do have a PlayStation 2, I would suggest going to your nearest GameStop and trying to find a used copy of it, or go to Amazon or eBay or something and try to find another copy from them as well. Because you might find a complete edition, and you might want to enjoy the complete edition. Because Silent Hill 3 actually came with the soundtrack. Now, I know that one's going to be a little bit hard to find, but it might be worth your money, because Silent Hill 3 and Silent Hill 2 had a really awesome, awesome soundtrack, thanks to Akira Yamaoka, along with my girl, Mary Elizabeth McGlynn, doing the voice work for a lot of the lyrical songs in Silent Hill 3. But yeah, so that's my take on Silent Hill HD Collection, at least for now. I might do a part 2 about it, but I'm not really sure. I'm actually going to live stream this game probably later on in the week, so stay tuned. I'll possibly put something up on a video in my YouTube, along with a Twitter announcement and a Facebook announcement that I'll be doing Silent Hill HD Collection, along with on my Twitch. So if you're following me on my Twitch TV, you'll be able to get it notified then when I'm playing it. But anyway, stay tuned for that stuff. So, I guess I'll see you guys later. This is Heather Mason 76, signing off.